Happy Friday. God willing, we'll finish 2 Thessalonians, so get your coffee for Morning Manna. And let's get into it. 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, all the way through the end, 14 through 18. Take special note of anyone who does not obey our instruction in this letter. Do not associate with them in order that they may feel ashamed. Yet do not regard them as an enemy, but warn them as you would a fellow believer. Now may the Lord of peace himself give you peace at all times and in every way. The Lord be with all of you. I, Paul, write this greeting in my own hand, which is the distinguishing mark in all of my letters. This is how I write. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you all. Paul expects to be obeyed. He expects people to adhere to what he's saying as the leader of this first century church. He is acutely aware of the possibility that someone, and probably could be an individual, could be a group, we don't know, but somebody he is concerned that is not going to listen to him and not going to go back to work, that they've grown accustomed to their idleness and the church taking care of them or what have you. And he says this, that if this occurs, for the church, the entirety of the church, to take note of this. Now, the purpose of this is to disassociate with this person. Why? Because that seems kind of harsh. Why are we just, kicking this guy to the curb just because he's believes something, right? He believes something different than we. We shouldn't just kick him to the curb. Well, Paul's not saying kick him to the curb. He's saying the purpose of our disassociation is redemptive. In fact, he goes out of his way to say we don't banish him from the community because he is a brother and he remains a brother. And so in this sense, the situation is different from some of the problems we know that Paul encountered in Corinth, where we had some real bad things going on. And Paul's like, yeah, that put these guys to death. He's not saying that. He's saying disassociate with this guy until he starts coming around. But he's still a brother, so you have to treat him as a brother. And then we see a third prayer that Paul talks about, and he mentions the Lord of peace in this. And he means much more than the absence of strife when he talks about peace. We understand, Paul understood that that God's purpose of wholeness for salvation for his people includes peace, that's kind of a driving factor into it, that we can have peace in all circumstances. James talks about pure joy in all circumstances. And that is what Paul's wish is. And he concludes this prayer for peace over the people with a benediction. And so in light of the possibility of we see he mentions before his closing, he says, I'm writing this in my own hand, and it kind of sticks out. It doesn't really fit with anything else in the letter. And so many commentators, a guy named Bruce writes that he wanted there to be no doubt who this came from. And so he writes the final greeting in his own handwriting, because we are led to believe that there is the possibility of a forgery circulating, or that if the wrong person, maybe this group of idle people get this, they might eliminate that part. We don't know. It's all speculative. But what Paul wants them to know is, I wrote this. This came from me. That's why you're seeing it in my handwriting. So don't ignore it. So what's your devotion in this? What does all of this culminate and say? That no matter what the circumstances, everything we do as Christians, as believers in Jesus, must be done and rooted in love. Not tough love, not hard love, not gentle love, just love. We are currently in a series called The God Love. And if you want to go back and check out the first 2 weeks of that, you should. We're going to continue to talk about the attributes of love and why it's important that we do things lovingly. Sometimes love can be firm, and sometimes love can be hardcore. But love is love, no matter how you look at it. So everything you do it rooted in the love of God. That is your devotion for this day, wrapping up 2 Thessalonians. I'm not sure where we're going to go next. You have to tune in Monday for that. But as always, guys, remember to like and subscribe, hit the bell icon so you can be made aware every time we put out a new video. Go bless multiple people today. Do a ton of things for a lot of people, expecting nothing in return. Watch what happens in your life, and we'll see you on Sunday.